Hey guys, and welcome back to Mommy Talk. This is where I like to talk about my life and all things mommy. And welcome to my 1-month postpartum update. I'm actually getting this in a little bit late because Zuko is actually 1 month and 2 weeks old, so really cutting it close there. It has been 1 month since he has been home from the hospital from NICU, so I think it still kind of counts. I promise I will be actually on time with my future updates, especially if this is something that you guys actually want and look forward to. I'm really excited to make them. I'm behind on a whole bunch of videos and I know that I keep saying that I'm going to get it out, but I promise I really will. It's been quite a transition trying to make sure that I fit in everything that I need to fit in one day, and it's just a lot, you know, having 4 kids, 5 and under, and then just everything that goes along with being a mom and then being you know, just what life throws at you. It's just been a lot to take in. So, but I promise that I am going to be more on top of this, and I am going to be sending out more updates for you guys. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So let's just go ahead and start with Zuko as far as what he has been doing for 1 month, for his first month. So since he has been home, as far as like his sleep patterns go, he is pretty like awake and pretty fussy during the day. Cody and I have actually considered that he may be a little bit colicky because he can be kind of fussy during the day, especially like between the hours of usually between the hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the evening. And then once we hit that evening time, usually around 4 or 5, then he goes down for a really long nap. And he's actually he sleeps really good for a 3, sometimes 4 hour period. As long as everyone leaves him alone. Sometimes that can be disrupted because one of the kids he'll be swinging in our little newborn swing or in the bouncy chair or something, and then the kids will make a lot of noise, or they'll want to hug on him or kiss him or something like that, and then it wakes him up, and then it's hard to get him back to sleep. And then he's usually awake between the hours of 8 to 10, 11, and then he'll usually go back to sleep, and he actually does sleep probably better at night than all my other kids have slept, because all my other kids consistently woke up every hour to 2 hours at this stage in their life to nurse, and even up until their first year they were still waking up constantly to nurse. And for the most part, Zuko actually sleeps really well. He doesn't get up to nurse very often. If anything, it's just because he kind of is fidgety, and so he's not fully awake, but he does kind of fidget in his sleep, which keeps me awake at night. But for the most part, he actually does sleep at night better than all my other kids have so far. As far as 1 month goes, he is definitely much more aware than when we brought him home from the hospital. He can notice a lot more things. He is being able to see things, I think, farther away. There's this little mobile on his newborn swing that he constantly is looking at and actually is aware of. When someone comes into the room, he turns his head in the direction of where their voice is coming from. So that's really neat. And he has been smiling a lot more. I don't really buy into the whole thing that newborns can't smile. I don't buy into the whole it's just gas thing. I never have. I really, especially seeing it from my own kids, I really legitimately feel like when they were smiling, it was because they felt happy at that moment. But he definitely has been showing a lot more personality, I guess, and he does smile a lot, especially now when I talk to him. So that's really fun for me because I love to see his reaction to my voice. And he definitely loves to be more cradled, in the cradle position, than he does upright, and certainly not on his tummy, especially at first. He's getting a little bit better about the whole tummy thing now, especially when they're newborns. A lot of times they like to sleep on, mommy's chest because they can hear the heartbeat and it's really warm and stuff like that. He did not like that at all. I could never get him to sleep on my chest, and even now it rarely ever happens, which is kind of sad for me because that's one of my most favorite things in the whole world, is getting a baby to sleep on my chest. But unfortunately, he just doesn't like it very much, so. And I almost wonder if maybe that has something to do with him spending, his first 2 weeks of life in the hospital, and he was just on his back because that was the only way that they can lay in the little incubators. So I don't really know if that has something to do with it or if that's just his personality. And then speaking of the hospital and the NICU and everything like that, I know that you guys are probably looking for a update as far as that goes. A lot of you are kind of unaware of exactly what was going on, so I'm gonna try and summarize this as short as I can. I may even make a whole other video about it depending on if you guys like need or want any more information. Okay, I don't really think I have anything else to update as far as Zuko goes. If I'm missing anything or if there was something that you wanted to know, as always, just leave a comment in the comment section down below and I will make sure to answer it, or tweet at me or leave it on my Facebook page, whatever. So as far as my 1 month postpartum update, I have pretty much lost almost all of my baby weight. I've still got about 10 pounds left to go. I am down to 141 pounds. My pre-pregnancy weight was 130 pounds. By the time I was delivering, I was 170 pounds. And then I'm down to 141, so I've lost about 30 pounds and I have about 10 more to go. As far as how I'm feeling postpartum, I actually feel really, really great. So I did, as you well know, in my last video you saw that I ordered the placenta pills, and I have not been taking those as consistently as I probably should be, because you're supposed to take them like in those first 2 weeks, you're supposed to take them like every single day, like multiple times a day. And for a while, for like that first week, I was taking them every single day. I'm just really bad at remembering to take my pills, and apparently that applies even with my placenta pills. But despite that, I'm actually still feeling pretty energetic, and for the most part, emotionally, I feel pretty well balanced. So that's really, really good. And I don't know if me taking the placenta pills that first week has helped with that, or if just overall any kind of hormonal flux I kind of got out of my system during the time that Zuko was in the hospital, during his stay there. So either way, feeling pretty great, pretty energetic for the most. Probably get a lot done if it weren't for the fact that I have 4 kids, and I can't get anything done with 4 kids. Like, it's just pretty much impossible. I've tried and it just doesn't work. So I fit into my pre-pregnancy clothes around 3 weeks postpartum, so about a week after Zuko got home from the hospital, I was fitting back into my pre-pregnancy clothes. They were still a little bit tight, and some of them still are, but for the most part, I am pretty much back into my old like body. So like I said, I still have about 10 pounds to lose, but for the most part, all of my clothes fit me the same. As far as my appetite has gone since I've had Zuko, I've actually had quite a loss of appetite, which is actually pretty normal for me. This has happened every single time I have a baby, especially within those first 6 weeks. I have like this huge loss of appetite and I just don't feel hungry at all, and like nothing ever sounds good to me. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why the weight has been kind of so easy to lose, is because between breastfeeding and then just not eating, I just like maybe shed that weight pretty fast. But yeah, so I have been starting to feel hungry again, and I actually am starting to like want things now, but during those like first 6 weeks, yeah, it's just like nothing ever sounds good and I'm never hungry. As far as postpartum bleeding goes, that stopped around 4-ish, 5 weeks. I was pretty much like done bleeding really heavily around 3.5 weeks, and then I had spotting for like the next 1.5 to 2 weeks after that, but by 5 weeks for sure I was definitely done. So besides my postpartum belly that I am about to show you to see kind of where I am at, I do have a couple fan questions to answer, which is really, really exciting because this is my first time ever answering fan questions. My first fan question is, I've had a lot of curiosity about how I came up with Zuko's name, and that's actually really interesting because obviously Zuko isn't exactly the most common name that you hear every day, and a lot of people, when I tell them what Zuko's name is, they immediately jump to Danny Zuko from Grease, and that is clever, and I actually did not think about that until after he was born. So it is not related to that. It didn't even occur to me that they had the same name until someone else brought it up, and they're like, oh, Zuko as in Danny Zuko? Close but no cigar. That is not correct. It is based off a TV character though. If you have ever seen the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is one of my most favorite shows of all time. It's in definitely like top 3 shows of all time. If you haven't seen it, you're probably going to immediately jump to the fact like, oh, that's a kid's show that was made on Nickelodeon. It was made to be made for kids, but it is actually, especially with my generation, I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, Avatar: The Last Airbender has a lot of adult themes and a lot of adult kind of lessons and morals and spiritual, you know, teachings. And of course, Cody and I have always been very fascinated with like the Japanese culture, and this has a lot of like Asian culture obviously immigrated into it, but it has a lot of just like in-depth kind of hidden behind the scenes kind of lessons and themes for adults as well, and it definitely is one of my most favorite shows. And his name is based off a character in that show Zuko. And ironically, we didn't even realize this until after we had already decided on his name. So his full name is Zuko Lee. What? You want to watch a little bit? You want to be on it? Okay, I'll turn it a little bit. So we actually didn't realize this until after we decided on his name, that in the show his name is Zuko, and then there is a part of the show where he goes under a surname or a pseudonym, and the name is Lee. He goes by Lee. So we didn't even make that connection until after we had already decided that the name would be Zuko Lee, and so we thought that was really funny. Yep, you did go to school today, that's right. His first day of school was yesterday. First day of preschool, right? We'll make another update as far as that goes later, okay? And my next fan question comes from @SpaghettiCries on Twitter, and she asks, do you have any tips for postpartum depression? And I actually do have a few tips to offer. However, I think I'm going to make a completely separate video for this. I have struggled with postpartum depression myself, and depression, clinical depression, basically almost my whole life, and I feel like this needs to be addressed in its own video. So @SpaghettiCries, I promise I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to make an entirely separate video for that. So I believe that's all that I have as far as updates today, because you didn't actually get to see Zuko in this video because he was sleeping and being bounced by me the whole time. He's actually just down there, like... So he was being bounced down there the whole time, and I didn't really want to risk waking him up. I will include like a few pictures after the video, after I show you my postpartum week belly. So this is my month and 2-week postpartum belly with clothes on. And then without clothes. Still got like my baby pooch here. Okay, so I believe that's all I have for my 1-month postpartum update. If there's anything that I'm missing or anything else that you guys wanted to know, as always, leave a comment in the section down below. Make sure you guys are clicking that like button down below. Subscribe if you aren't already. Share with your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye guys!